Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I want to talk to you about Islamic spirituality and healing from a mental health and therapeutic perspective. This is based on the model of the soul that was presented by Dr. Rothman in his paper that was published in 2018 toward a framework for Islamic psychology and psychotherapy, an Islamic model of the soul. You can download this paper from the link that I provided, and it's free. This model is great model that helps therapists integrate Islamic psychology and spirituality in the counseling and therapy session. I provided a link for the YouTube video that I invite you to actually watch, because he actually explains the model in great detail, and you will see how all the parts that we covered in the class, including ruh, aql, qalb, and nafs, are all integrated in this model, and it's such a beautiful way to kind of make us see how we can achieve healing and connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you download the paper, you will actually understand the model in great detail, also from watching his presentation that I shared in the previous slide. So basically, what I wanted to go through is basically the nature, as I explained, the nature of the soul, the concept of fitra, and that the fitra exists underneath the projected self, being out of alignment with fitra, dunya as a distraction, fitra as an internal compass, realignment, and basically in his perspective, in this model, is basically we can shift between alignment with the fitra and going towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is basically an upward connection towards Allah, or we can actually be pulled towards dunya and shaitan, and it's a downward pull, which is a misalignment with our fitra. Then he spoke about the structure of the soul, and the soul as a whole, integrated nature of the soul, which includes the nafs, which is the lower self, the qalb, which is the heart, which has the capacity of switching in two directions, which I'm going to go over the next slide, the aql, or the intellect, the ruh, or the spirit. And the stages of this soul include the lower nafs, which is a nafs al-amara bisu, then a nafs al-lawama, which is the next stage, and the ultimate soul, which is a nafs al-mutma'inna. And the development of the soul basically is the human project of development, including the tazkiyah of an-nafs, purification of the soul, jihad al-nafs, which is struggle of the soul, and tahdib al-akhlaq, refinement of character, need for moral reform, and he talks about muhlikat and munjiyat, which are also known as vices and virtues. And I'm going to explain how it all works in the next slide. So I'll be covering the aspects of the soul. This is a quote from the Dr. Rothman in his paper. The soul has innately pure and good nature, fitra, that comes from and is connected to Allah, but that becomes covered over and forgotten as a natural part of life in the dunya. So the center of the model is actually the qalb, or the heart. The heart is the spiritual center where aql, or the intellect, is located. It turns in two directions, towards lower impulses of nafs, misaligned, which becomes misaligned with the fitra, by the influences of the dunya, the worldly desires, and shaitan, by means of muhlikat, or vices. And this actually brings our nafs, or soul, towards the lower nafs, which is nafs al-amara bisu. It can also turn towards the higher godly nature, or ruh, and akhirah, or afterlife, and this actually allows it to align with the fitra by means of munjiyat, or virtues, and this ultimately takes us to the nafs al-mutma'inna, which is the highest form of the soul. Jihad al-nafs is basically moving from, or the struggle of the soul is moving from nafs al-amara bisu, which is the lowest form of nafs, towards nafs al-lawama, and towards nafs al-mutma'inna, upward, according to the model. And for the translation, you can find all these details in his papers. Jihad al-nafs, which is struggle of the soul, tahdib al-akhlaq, and tazkiyat al-nafs, lead to good character. And that's our ultimate goal. So we are in contact, in constant fight and struggle against the forces of our soul and shaitan. So in this slide, I'll be covering the connection between spirituality and psychotherapy, since I'm a therapist, and alhamdulillah, I practice an integrative approach to psychotherapy, which I actually include a lot of Islamic spiritual practices within my therapy session. And basically the question is how to deal with the struggles of the soul, and basically how to treat mental health illnesses, such as the well-known mental health issues, including trauma, stress, anxiety, depression, grief and loss, and many other issues that we deal with in therapy. And so basically we use different therapeutic approaches to treat mental health illnesses. And as a Muslim practicing counselor, I do integrate spirituality in therapy to help my clients to let go and basically leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That sometimes a lot of clients have an issue of being always in control, and so when they don't feel that they lose control, they feel that's when the anxiety kicks in, or the depression, or especially when they lose someone through grief and loss, or trauma. Basically, it's whatever we're dealing with now with the issue of Palestine. We're all grieving, going through having traumatic responses a lot of stress. We have anxiety and depression, and we're also grieving. So that's just one example that we're dealing with right now. So basically what I do in therapy is help the clients relax and connect with Allah through Islamic mindfulness practices such as salat, dhikr, remembrance of Allah, fortifying the aqidah or iman or faith in Allah, reading and listening to Quran, practicing sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And actually part of my self-care, spiritual self-care, is basically attending this class so I can also increase my my iman, hopefully, and connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help my clients deal with their trauma and stress, since I'm a certified trauma professional. The goal also in therapy is to bring balance between brain, the mind, and our body, the heart, through different relaxation techniques. And I use different models, including dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, mindful self-compassion, and neurofeedback, which is a new approach to basically help the brain, which is the control center of our body, to regulate the body and help the clients achieve self-regulation, or also known as emotional regulation. Also engage in deep reflection using a model called internal family system, and self-leadership, which is guiding the person towards fitra, or self-leadership, through the 8 capacities. These 8 capacities are actually common with all human beings, including compassion, connection, courage, creativity, calm, curiosity, confidence, and clarity. And also encouraging Islamic education and continuation of learning and building knowledge and connecting with knowledgeable and practicing Muslims. Our religion encourages us to always grow in learning our deen, so there's no ending, especially when we are inflicted with calamities or stress or trauma or some changes in our lives that prompt us to not being able to adjust to our stress. So a lot of my clients deal with adjustment issues, and so through therapy this helps them to actually achieve that balance. And we can't do this alone. We need to be around people who help us connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be a supportive through these struggles. We can be supportive systems for many of people around us who are struggling, whether they are friends, family members, or neighbors, or especially now that we're going through huge trauma right now. I wanted to quote quote by Sheikh Dr. Nabulsi, Dr. Ratib Nabulsi, who's a Muslim scholar. He said, "Take all the means as if they are everything, then put your or rely upon Allah as if the means are nothing." This is tawakkul, but tawakkul means you need to take the means by seeking mental health counseling, going to a psychiatrist, or seeking guidance from knowledgeable people, from doctors or scholars who are or imams who are trained in mental health issues, so they can guide you. And part of taking the means is by seeking mental health counseling. So I invite you to invite people who you think they are struggling, especially with whatever is going on right now in the Muslim world, to actually seek mental health counseling and be a support to them. And basically one thing that I want to stress is there's no shame in seeking mental health services and heal through the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. the ultimate healer is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we have a huge stigma within our community. So I invite all of you to kind of educate our community members about seeking mental health counseling. I'm part of many mental health professionals at Anissa Hope Center. We do provide a wide variety of services for families and children and women and men as well. So I invite you to take advantage of our services, and I'm sure that there are other services being provided by other organizations. I hope that you've learned in these slides that I've shared, and if I made a mistake, please forgive me. I am learning, and I hope inshallah to increase my knowledge in this area inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.